I have been using the SmallRig Black Mamba cage ever since I got my GH6. But apart from the low-profile design with this part wrapping around the grip, I haven't been all that happy with the cage overall. But back at IBC last year, I noticed that NEEWER also makes cages, and they told me they were going to release a cage for the GH6 and also a top handle with an integrated record button. So here it is. Let's talk about which one is better. If you're new here, I'm Sebastian and welcome to the channel. This video is not sponsored by NEEWER. They don't have any input on this video or get to see it before it's posted. However, this video is sponsored by OBSBOT. More about them later. Now you may be asking, how different can two camera cages for the same camera be? Well, quite different. Let's first talk about the SmallRig cage. Though I don't care too much about the looks of a cage, I do think the Black Mamba cage has a nice, cool look to it with the greyish, sort of speckled finish. And as far as how it fits around the camera, it's the nicest cage I have ever used. I can still quite comfortably hold the camera by the grip and easily access the top buttons. I also like the slot for the little tool that comes with it. I can put the tool back into the slot without looking, and the magnets that hold it are sufficiently strong. There are quite a few mounting points for accessories. The left side of the cage has an integrated NATO rail and has several 1/4 inch and 3/8 inch threads, of which some also have holes for locating pins. The same goes for the right side of the cage, though that side doesn't have a NATO rail. I use this cage with a SmallRig top handle with a screw mount with locating pins, which is really secure. It has two attachment points for the camera, one 1/4 inch on the bottom and one M2.5 screw that goes through the left camera strap mount, so it's quite secure. Though I have found that when I rig the camera out and hold it by the grip, the camera would sometimes move a little bit within the cage, which is one of the problems I have with this cage. Not with the NEEWER cage. You've seen that, right? A quick word from this video's sponsor, OBSBOT. They recently released the Tail Air, a very clever little pan-tilt zoom camera. Direct live streaming, AI human, animal and object tracking with a 2-axis gimbal, recording, gesture control. The Tail Air has got it all. This super versatile streaming camera is your personal camera operator. Just use the gestures to start tracking, zoom in or out, or start and stop recording, and select your framing with the AI director's grid. For even more motion control, there's the smart remote controller that even allows you to let the Tail Air mimic the movement of your hand. The Tail Air supports 4K up to 30 frames a second and 1080p up to 60 frames a second and features a wide range of connectivity options. Connect it via HDMI to a video switcher or connect it via Wi-Fi to your phone or tablet and start live streaming to your favorite platform directly from within the OBSBOT Start app for iOS and Android. Or connect it via USB-C, just like a webcam, but with a ton of features within the OBSBOT Center app. And if you just want to use it as a standalone camera, the Tail Air has got you covered as well, with its internal recording capability to a microSD card up to 512 GB in size, enough for hours and hours of recording. But where the Tail Air really stands out from the crowd is with its NDI compatibility, wired or wireless. NDI ensures a low latency video and audio connection over IP, and with the Ethernet adapter, it can be powered over Ethernet as well. Multicam live streaming becomes really easy with the OBSBOT Tail Air. There's a link in the description if you want to check it out, and use this code for a 10% discount. Big thanks to OBSBOT for sponsoring this video. Back to the NEEWER cage. This cage has 3 camera attachment points. One on the bottom like any other cage, but you can attach both camera strap mounts to the cage with an M2.5 screw. This third attachment point makes the world of a difference compared to the SmallRig cage. No movement of the camera within the cage whatsoever. It's the most secure cage I have ever used. One big difference with this cage compared to the SmallRig cage is that it doesn't have the sleek wraparound the grip design. Instead, it goes over the top of the camera. This, in my opinion, is both a pro and a con. It's a con because it makes it a little bit harder to get to some of the top buttons. But it's definitely a pro when it comes to the CAGES' strength and ability to withstand the forces of a heavier rig, which, as I showed you in the intro, the Black Mamba cage is not strong enough for. Both cages have an integrated Arca Swiss plate, but the threaded mounting points at the bottom are arranged differently, and the newer cage has an arrangement compatible with the DJI RS2 and RS3 gimbals, if that's important to you. The cage has a standard black finish, which I'm totally fine with, and it feels very solidly built. It comes with a tool that magnetically attaches to the bottom, just like the SmallRig cage, but also comes with a cable clamp. There is a cable clamp for the Black Mamba cage as well, but it's either a separate purchase of around $25, I believe, or you have to buy the kit with the top handle. I'll talk about pricing in a minute. Let's move on to the side and top of the NEEWER cage. The left side has a similar design to that of the SmallRig cage. It too has an integrated NATO reel and similar threaded holes. But it only has one mounting point with holes for locating pins. The other side has the exact same layout as the SmallRig cage. The top, however, is quite different from the SmallRig cage. It has two cold shoe mounts, left and right, which I like, and the top middle has an integrated NATO reel in addition to the threaded mounts, which leads me to the additional top handle NEEWER sent me as well. This top handle has a NATO mount, so it's a perfect combination with the NEEWER cage, and it has a record button on the top of it. There's a USB-C port on the side where you plug in the included cable that connects to the LANC port of the GH6, giving the camera a third recording button, or fourth if you count the shutter button. And it works great. The cable doesn't bother me at all when I'm holding the top handle, if it's routed like this, and even with the other end of the cable sticking out of the LANC port, I can still quite comfortably hold the camera by the grip. The design of the top handle is very similar to the SmallRig top handle I have. Same size, nice rubber grip, enough cold shoe mounts and threaded holes, though nothing on the sides and fewer overall because of the record button and USB-C port. It's a nice handle to hold overall. I will say though that although it's really nice to have a record button on the top handle, it is quite easy to accidentally push it while you're holding the handle. So you have to be aware of that or disconnect the cable when you don't want to use the record button. After using the NEEWER cage for a while, I know I found my new favorite cage. I'm not going back to the Black Mamba cage. And I also can't at this point because the little M2.5 screw broke off and got stuck in the hole. But how that happened is a story for another time. Overall, if you don't want or need that particular design around the grip with the SmallRig Black Mamba cage, I think the NEEWER cage is the better cage. It's solid, doesn't flex with a heavier rig, has more mounting points, has compatibility with some DJI gimbals, and comes with a cable clamp included for a price of $84.99 at the time of this review. Whereas the Black Mamba cage is $99 for just the cage, no clamp included. So in terms of value for money, the NEEWER wins as well from my perspective. The top handle with record button comes in at $59.99 and is again good value for money, as the SmallRig equivalent is slightly more expensive at $67. There are links to both cages and top handles in the description if you want to check them out. I hope this cage comparison was useful to you. If so, please give the video a like and subscribe to the channel, and maybe hit that notification bell, and I hope to see you next time. Thanks for watching.